Hello and welcome to Instant Insights. At GlobalData Strategic Intelligence, we track over 100 tech, industry, ESG and macro themes impacting all major sectors. I'm Romilly Leech and today I'm joined by Aoife McGurk, Analyst in the Strategic Intelligence team. Aoife recently published a report on GlobalData's new Deforestation Risk Framework. So we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago giving a brief introduction to that framework, and today we're just going to delve into the deforestation risk in a specific sector, which is agriculture. So thank you for joining us, Aoife.
Thank you for having me.
Again, it's a pleasure. Could you remind us of what exactly we mean when we're talking about deforestation risk?
Sure. So simply put, deforestation risk is the risk that companies are exposed to by having deforestation in their supply chain or operations. So while deforestation itself has enormous environmental impacts, it also poses regulatory, physical, reputational and financing risks to companies. Different sectors have varying degrees of risk and varying degrees of contribution to deforestation.
Okay, thanks for that reminder, Aoife. So as I said, we're talking about agriculture today. Am I safe to assume it's a high-risk sector?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So while levels of deforestation contribution vary widely across industries, most sectors face moderate to severe supply chain regulatory risk. The new EU Deforestation Regulation, or EUDR, exposes all sectors with any deforestation in their supply chain to significant risk. However, the risk is significantly higher for those sectors that rely on trees and biodiversity for their products, like healthcare and, of course, agriculture. So the agriculture sector actually faces the highest level of deforestation risk, followed closely by the consumer sector.
Okay, so do you think you could give us an overview of how exactly agriculture contributes to deforestation just before we delve into those risks?
Sure. So agriculture is responsible for 80% of tropical deforestation, according to Our World in Data. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that 38% of the world's land is used for farming, with 1/3 dedicated to cropland and the rest for grazing livestock. However, as the population grows, increased demand for food causes the agricultural sector to demand more land, and this results in forests being felled and converted into farms. Most agricultural deforestation can be attributed to just 7 commodities. So these are cattle, palm oil, soy, cocoa, rubber, coffee, and wood. And cattle ranching is the biggest source of deforestation, followed by soy. But interestingly, according to the World Wildlife Fund, 80% of this soy goes to feeding livestock, so this increases cattle's share of forest loss even more.
Thanks, Aoife. So the sector definitely contributes massively to deforestation. Can you explain the specific risks agriculture companies will face because of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, the risks for the sector are pretty high across the board. Agribusinesses will be hardest hit by the new EUDR, as it applies most strictly to agricultural commodities. This law aims to reduce deforestation associated with commodities and products entering the EU market. Those that do not or cannot comply with this legislation will not only face sanctions from the regulatory body, but also find themselves sidelined by consumer goods manufacturers in favour of those that can comply. Agribusinesses also face significant physical risk. As well as damaging vital ecosystem services, deforestation contributes massively to climate change, which in turn harms crop yields. On top of this, changing temperatures and rainfall are causing arable areas of land to shift. As temperatures increase, the areas of land suitable for growing certain crops change. So warm weather crops can now grow in previously cooler climates, but the areas where these warm weather crops were originally grown may now be inhospitably hot. This drives more deforestation as more suitable areas for growing warm weather crops are sought. It's in the long-term interest of agribusinesses to minimise deforestation. There's also the reputational risk, which remains high because of consumer awareness. They're more tapped into agriculture's deforestation impact than other sectors, particularly with things like palm oil and cattle. Financial risk is fairly consistent across the board from all sectors, but agribusinesses are particularly exposed to banks refusing to finance them due to deforestation because of just the sheer amount of forest loss attributed to farming.
Thanks very much, Aoife. You certainly know your stuff, so we'll be looking forward to having you back on the podcast soon. There's plenty more on other sectors in your deforestation risk report, so certainly not one to miss. It's a shame we can't delve into any more today, but unfortunately we've run out of time. But thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a delight.
If you'd like to read the report, it is available on our intelligence centres and in the link below. Thank you for those instant insights. Thanks for listening, and from us in Strategic Intelligence, we'll see you next time.